Hey everybody, that's another edition of It's Not Work, It's Fun. I want to thank everybody for watching that's been watching either on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. Starting to get a lot of views on YouTube now. And I've got a couple of questions that I really should answer first. The One of the questions is, hi, how are you? Okay, one of the questions is, somebody asked me, how do I get my tomatoes started early? Well, right now, no matter where you live in the country, is a real good time to start your tomatoes, your peppers, it's just all kinds of things. If you start flowers, uh, and you got to remember that what the tomatoes, especially tomatoes or peppers, really need, or even pumpkins or watermelon, eggplant, whatever. If you start them inside, they're going to need some bottom heat. And by bottom heat, I mean, we used to have a way of plugging in some light bulbs, some real low wattage light bulbs underneath the plants, but they were separated by about 8 inches. And they were very, very low wattage, maybe 8 watts or less. Some of the Christmas lights that you can use around your plants, I do that all the time. They're only 2.5 watts. So you don't want high wattage. If you have anything over your plants, it can be maybe a little bit. I use only 8 watts. That's the highest that I go. It keeps the electric bill down. And follow up on a couple of things that I've already planted. I wanted to talk about this for a little bit. First of all, one of the other questions was, do you just do house plants? No, I do a whole range of plants. I actually garden all year round up here in north central Wisconsin, which is near Wausau, Wisconsin. And I do it because growing flowering house plants, it's called a massive Rex begonia, by the way. That's what I'm picking at here. I'm just taking some of the dead leaves. If they don't get watered enough a couple times a week, then what happens is the leaves start to dry out and they fall off, okay? I don't have anything else in here. Sometimes I will put other flowers in there, like gypsophilia. I will put that in there. But no, I don't do just house plants. Someone asked why do things get yellow leaves on the bottom? And they start out yellow on the bottom, even though they're growing real good. One of the things that plants really desire, as well as our own bodies, is iron. Okay, so if you have a deficiency of iron in where your plants are planted, no matter what pot it is, that will turn the leaves yellow. Now, if they start turning yellow on top first and go all the way down, that's an indication of something else. And gotta get this stuff out of here. This just does nothing but cause. It doesn't do anything but cause rot. If the leaves sit there and rot, they don't refertilize the ground. Not in a pot, they don't. Out in the woods, yes, that happens. But at any rate, this is called a massive Rex begonia. And not that the smaller Rex begonia is a missive Rex begonia. It's called Rex begonia massive, and then that's the Latin. Okay, this one right here is not a massive. It's called a Rex begonia miss, not miss like Miss Johnson, a young lady, or anything like that. What it is it's short for the lassive terminology. Massive means it gets very large, very, very large leaves. And as you can see, I kind of pick up my plants all year long, all the time. Okay. This is a Rex begonia miss. Now I'm not gonna have it out here because I'm gonna plant some hollyhocks pretty quick here. And then I'm gonna talk just a little bit about peppers, hot pepper, not real hot pepper, green bell peppers, which are the Latin term for that is capsicum. All right, these leaves get very, very large. In the summertime, they can get 12 inches. These are the ones, this is not from the same begonia. Let's see, is it corm or is it rhizome? I think it's corm. I'd have to look it up to make sure. But they don't actually grow from a seed. They grow from what I will call a bulb. It's not really a bulb, but it grows from a mass. Okay, I believe it's called a corm. Some people, it might be called a rhizome. I'm not really sure. I am sure. I just haven't looked it up in a long time. But these are the ones that only get to be, these leaves only get about 4, maybe 6 inches. These are the big ones. And the reason it's called Rex Begonia Miss, M-I-S-S, not because, as I said, a young lady, nothing like that. It's because it's the smaller version. And it's the Latin that stands for short and or small. Okay. Rex begonias are originated, some people say the Middle East and some people say Africa. I think one type of begonia originated in the Middle East, and somehow the ones from Africa kind of crossed over, and the Middle East crossed back over, and they became just one, because pretty much all Rex begonias really come from the same genus of plants, and that means the same family. Okay, so this I have to move. I'm just going to set this. I'm just going to put this right down here for now. I will have to move it later so that when my cat gets in here, which he loves to do, what will happen is I'll move it so he can't get into it. Okay, so I'm going to move a couple of orchids here. These are miniature orchids. All right, I have a pot that's ready. And by the way, folks, I have to show you this. This is, these are hollyhocks in here. Okay, actually I'm going to write that on here. Now, outside in the summertime, I'm going to show you a whole bunch of stuff outside. By the way, I have some really nice tomato plants that I have to transplant. That's the only way I can show you them outside of being alone, outside. All right, I have to show you. I want to do this now. This is one of the red petunias. Okay, you see this here? This is not any kind of an animal. This is the root system that has grown right through the bottom of the pot. And if you see that, you're growing stuff. This is a beautiful red petunia. As you can see, it's nice and big. It's really good. I probably should put some other flowers in there too. Who knows? Maybe I'll even put a pepper plant in there. You just cut that off because it's just taking up energy. It grew right through the bottom. You can kind of see some of the other roots right here. You can cut those off if you want. You don't have to keep them in there. They're called bottom roots, and they're not really feeder roots. A feeder root is one that actually takes up the moisture and the nutrients in the soil. This is one of the transplants that I made. Here's another one. It's a real tiny one right there. I don't know if you can see that. It's a real tiny one that's growing at the bottom here. This is a beautiful red petunia, and it's got a pot all by itself because it got really, really big. And there's a bunch of others that I have to transplant too. Okay, don't really have too much room back here, but this is getting way, way too big. Don't worry about these leaves. If you got some leaves that are getting kind of funky looking, that's all right. Just cut them off. You don't have to keep them. All right, so I'm gonna make sure that, okay, this is called deadheading. That's taking the old flower heads off of there. See, what this is an indication of is these petunias really, really need to be in a pot by themselves. And here's the little palm tree right here. This little guy, he is suffering because he's not getting any room with his roots. He needs some extra room here. All right, this is getting way too big. I'm going to have to transplant this, and I'll show you some of that stuff at another stage, because I really only do have so much room in the area that I work in. My greenhouse still is not together. And yeah, it's looking kind of rough, but that's okay. You can definitely put these in bigger pots. Here's another flower I'm going to deadhead right here. That means picking the flowers out of there. You just pull it out. And instead of producing seeds, this will produce another flower. They will produce massive amounts of flowers, okay? All right, so I'm going to set that back aside. All right, so what I'm going to get to right now, and I want to spray these down just a little bit. I want to spray this soil. This is a hollyhock that is actually red and black and red in color. It's just a little bit of... Now, when you go to the store and you buy something, okay, right off the shelf. Now, I bought these on purpose. I didn't take any cuttings from my hollyhocks outside. It's okay to cut this stuff off, okay? Those are just side roots. They're not main roots. They're not main tap roots. They're not the feeder roots. The feeder roots are the ones that actually suck up the moisture and the nutrients, okay? I'll cut that off. This is actually, now this pot really isn't big enough. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to cut that right there. As a matter of fact, I'm going to cut a little bit more of that off. That's kind of dried out already. And it won't suck up much moisture or nutrients anyway. So what's going to happen is I'm just going to make it a little bit shorter. These really should be in a much bigger pot than this. I'm going to kind of bend this down a little bit. I'm going to bend this down a little bit, okay? That can stay there like that until I get all the soil in. Now, same deal. When you buy this, when you get your stuff, don't just leave it in the sack, okay? Because they got to have circulation. They got to have air. Well, the air circulating. Okay, you can cut all this stuff off. This doesn't hurt the plant at all, okay? This is a hollyhock. This is how you start it inside. I know we're not going to be ready to go outside just yet. It's the end of March, not quite Easter. It's getting pretty close to Easter. Well, you can cut all that stuff off. You can cut a little bit of this off too. This is what you do to start this stuff off, okay? Now, this is not going to be in this pot for very long. No, it's not a very big pot. I just wanted to do this for demonstration purposes. I'm going to bend that down. And if it grows around, down around the bottom, that's fine, because it's a perennial. It's going to go outside. It's not going to stay in this pot for very long. It's just going to start to reboot its growth, okay? And yes, that is a real term, rebooting growth. I'm going to leave it out of the pot like that. You don't want it staying in this plastic green sack. Now, this is green for a reason, because if it were clear, it would let in the sun's rays and it would start to grow and get way too hot. Okay, here's the... Actually, I already have a bunch of these growing outside, but I wanted this for demonstration purposes. And one more time, no, I don't just grow houseplants. Somebody wanted to know if I just do houseplants. Okay, so this is a picture of what they look like. I will show you the real thing in the summertime. I will have some of my camera crew out to my land. I have a real television show that I do. These are just, as I call them, little Jaunt Classics. Okay, the name of the TV show is and always has been It's Not Work, It's Fun, with me, Master Gardener Bernie Lonay. Now, this is really good soil medium that they are in, okay? At this point, you got to water a little bit, put it in a nice sunny place, tap that down just a little tiny bit, okay? You got to tap that down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang on to this. I'm just going to cut this across here. And that's going to go down here. And then I'm going to tape this together. And I'm going to use it in further planting. One of the things you want to make sure you do is if you take anything, it doesn't matter what it is, okay? If you buy anything from the store, okay? Say it's hydrangea, narcissus, or daffodils, as people refer to them. Okay, that's just a bag of soil. I'm going to put that right down here. There's some other soil down there too. Okay, you can't really see that from here, but one of the things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to spray this down a little bit with insecticide. Now, I didn't see anything coming out of there. This doesn't look very good. It's not really a nice looking houseplant. It's not supposed to be. What it is hollyhocks that I'm going to start on the inside, and then they're going to go out with their roots and root growth intact. These are all going to turn green right in here. They're all going to turn green. Let's spray this down a little bit. It's going to get put in right now. I'm going to put it in a place kind of out of the way. And what's going to happen is I will, when it gets warmer, I will keep watering it. I will keep it alive. And I will make sure that it's good enough, has a big enough root growth system on it to put it outside, and it'll be a real perennial outside for a very, very long period of time. Don't mind me, I'm just watering some stuff here. It dries out in this room very, very fast. It's the temperature is higher in here. And here's our, I want to show you something here before I get to the peppers. Here's our avocado that's in the water. Okay, I could change this water. I keep adding water to it. I could have all fresh water, but this water right here is extremely distilled, and it's got a little bit of iron water in it too. I can't really get the iron water out right now. It's being blocked. It's kind of buried right now. So that's the iron water, and it turns it kind of a orangish brownish thing. And as it, hopefully you can see this. Now, this is one way of starting avocado. There's another way that's actually faster. And right here, this is starting to crack. There's a, hopefully you can see this. I hope you can. Okay, I'm going to spill a little bit of water out just so you can see this crack. The crack is right in here. It goes right along in there. That's a good sign because the seed is starting to, there's a kind of a, well, you can see it right here. It's right, That's the bump right there, okay? You want that. But the seed is also starting to activate on the inside, and the reason it's cracking right here is because the shoot is going to come straight out through the top. Now, if you do this hydroponically, what happens is it takes longer than if you do a little mound planting like I have done before. I've shown this before. And for those of you who haven't seen the earlier ones, I'm going to repeat these topics quite a bit, quite often. And we're going to shoot a lot of stuff outside in my personal yard, not showing anybody's address or any neighbors or anything like that. One of the nice things that I really have the advantage of, even though a lot of this I don't know the editing as to what I'm doing or anything. I really don't. That's why some of my camera crew members actually laugh at me, because they know I don't know how to edit. But one of the things that's nice things is I do have camera people, and they will come out and they will shoot the stuff that I ask them to shoot. If they do the editing, fine, that's great. So far, nobody's volunteered to do that. But at any rate, oh well, that's the way it goes. All right, now I've got one more thing I want to show you here. And I really don't want this going the whole 30 minutes. That's a regular episode. Let me see here. Hopefully. Oh, darn. I got, let me see here. Oh, boy. Okay, I've got, well, I don't know if I want to do this. My little tiny Rex begonia right here. I could, okay, this is a freesia. And I wanted to plant them all in one. I'm going to put the baby in there. I had 4 of these bulbs and 2 are missing. I think my cat got into something. Okay, this is a freesia. This is not a perennial in this area of the country either. Now, further south, if you get, this is an old pot from something else. Okay, I took the little tiny, it's called a bulblet. It's a freesia bulb. It actually looks like a seed. I'm going to put that right in the same pot as my Rex begonia. And the little Rex begonia is going to go right back in its really warm, hot place. And this right here, I'm actually going to take, not this one, I'm actually going to wrap this up with a bread tie. Something got the the 2 other bulbs. So what's supposed to happen? This is going to be tied up. I'm going to put it out. I'll transplant these later at another time. Well, folks, I have shown, and one more thing. The capsicum or green bell pepper plants. I have some beautiful ones growing. I'm not going to show them to you now. I actually forgot to bring them down, and I'm not going to go get them until I see you the next time. A lot of people have asked me about all my titles. I have many. I am a professional gardener, a professional horticulturalist as well. That's my big Rex begonia. That's the Rex begonia massive. Oh, by the way, this is a miniature rose right here, which is just starting to set some buds. Okay, so a lot of people have asked me about my title. I have a lot of titles, not only master gardener, professional gardener, professional horticulturalist, and one of the ones I'm very, very proud of, even though they may not think it's worth saying, I am the former master gardener to Wisconsin Public Radio. I was on there for just about 3 years. It was very close to 3 years. It was just about 4 or 5 days away from actually being 3 years. That's why I say just about 3 years. I'm Master Gardener Bernie D. Lonay. Until next time, be green and remember, it's not work. It's fun. Bye-bye.